So speaking a little bit, we spoke about the people you have around you. We've also talked about the village that it takes to raise three or four person like that. What has that been like? Having that support system and kind of growing as a mother yourself, but also kind of growing with that village around you, your friends. Talking about some of the people that have kind of stepped up during this process for you.
Honestly, if I was to sit here and list everyone we've been here for a long time, I'm so grateful. I think you never know until you're going through it, like who's really like there for you. And I think it was a big shock to my system because I didn't plan for any of this. Like I couldn't say that during my pregnancy that I was gonna end up doing this alone. Like you can't really predict that. Okay, I hear it.
She's like, who is this?
She's like, it's my time. But yeah, I didn't plan it. I didn't see it coming. And I was raised by a single mom, so I knew always in the back of my mind, like if I needed to, I would, and if I needed to, I could. Like I know I could do it. But there's nothing like it really, really happening, and you're like, okay, well now I need to like lean on my people. And for the first 6 months, I was so like stuck on trying to look like I had it all together, like I had it figured out, like I didn't need anyone's help, like because it felt like I was giving satisfaction to the people that wanted me to struggle, and I didn't want to admit that I was struggling because I'm like, no, like I chose to have this baby, I stepped up, I'm doing what I need to do, you know, like, and it's just think as a mum in this society, you don't want to look like you're not doing everything you're supposed to be doing. You don't want to look like you're failing or you're struggling, like. It's just always, there's all these standards, you know, it's like impossible, you can't always do it right, but I had to lean on my people, and I think it got to a point, the first time I remember vividly leaning on them was when Aria was like 4 months old, and that's when the postpartum depression had really like, it was getting really bad, and I just didn't feel like I could do it anymore, like I had no sleep, I was running on empty, and I was giving her everything I had, and I was still breastfeeding, which is a really important part because it means emotionally you're giving her everything, physically you're giving her everything, and then I had all the other stuff going on around outside factors that I couldn't control, you know. So I remember I sat in my mum's front room and I was crying. I was like, Mum, I can't, like I actually can't. If I keep going like this, I'm gonna crack. Like I need you. And I called my family. I'm like, I need you guys right now because this is too much. I remember I spoke to my friend. I was like, please, like, you need to take her for a day or just a couple hours. Like, I need a minute because I'm feeling it. Like, because I feel like you're in survival mode for the first how many months. You don't even realize what you're doing every single day. And then the minute you stop and you're like, okay, like I'm actually, this is too much. I think that was kind of the point. But I don't want mums to have to get to that point. I think they need to have the support from the beginning. Like, people, they didn't choose to have a kid, you chose to have a kid, but in that same sense, like if you see that someone is struggling or you see like they're exhausted and they just need a minute, like I naturally would just take that load off of them. And I think my family and my friends, they really stepped up and they did that. Like they saw me struggling and they all band together. Like I'm pretty sure my family had their own meeting without me and they were like, we need to help this girl. Like even my brother-in-law and like all my friends and stuff, like they really, I couldn't have done it without them. That's honest truth. Like even Denver, my best friend, her godmother, she came over like every other day this week because we've been sick. So it's just been hard. Like with a toddler and you're sick, as you can see. Hi, baby. Thank you. You're so kind. Thank you. But yeah, so I think even this week, like she came around every other day and she cleans my house, or like she would cook me food, and I'm just like,
that's amazing.
How did I get this lucky? Like, because I would do that for anyone in my circle. Like, I would do that without thinking twice. But when it happens to you, you're kind of like, oh my god, like that's crazy. But yeah,
I think it's amazing. I think you also mentioned the point about the expectations mothers have about getting everything right and being perfect. To teach me a little bit more about that. Why do you think we have that, and also how do you think young mothers can overcome that in their own mind, but also like as a society, how we can overcome that?
I don't know. I think there's just always this. There's like a Aria. Aria, we're not gonna touch the camera. Fight the urge, okay? Let's fight it.
Yeah, okay. He's like, I'll let you touch her at the end. You can just push it over. Like,
We love the self-control, babe. Good job. But no, I think for starters, there's a double standard. I think when it comes to parenting, like at least in my experience, there's this notion that like I will do everything that I'm supposed to do, and that is expected of me. Like, you feed the kid, you emotionally nurture them, you give them everything, you sacrifice your body, you sacrifice your time, your energy, you sacrifice everything for them, and I would do it again in a heartbeat because I know that is going to my kid, you know. But there's, on the flip side, there's like, if you were a dad and you were to take your kid to the park, you do the simple things, you do the basics, like just the bare minimum, and they're heavily praised. So when you're a mum, it feels like a job that you're working with no praise. Not that you need it, you don't need the validation because you have your kid that loves you and it's validating enough, but it sucks sometimes. Like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to and you don't get any recognition for it. That's just, you're supposed to do that. Like, it's hard.
And then just that, it's like you're expected to be perfect.
Yeah, everything. You're meant to have everything down. You're meant to feed them at this age. You're meant to have them walking by this age, talking by this age. And if they're not hitting those milestones, it's a reflection on you as a mum and what you're not doing and the environment that you're providing them. Like, everything you do is questioned. And I feel like people have this thing when you have a kid that they feel like they can just share their opinions. Like, they don't actually care. They don't see you as a human anymore. Like, you are just there to serve your child. Like, that is who you are. That is your whole purpose. And people feel like they can just weigh in their opinions because they're like, well, it's about a kid. So I'm
exactly,
like, absolutely not.
Especially when it's like, I think especially when it's like they don't understand that, like, you're also doing this for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, you're actually figuring stuff out as you go along.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and it's like there's no way anyone's gonna be perfect during that. You know.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful that you have that perspective too. Talk to me a little also about, you mentioned in one of your videos about putting yourself first.
Yeah.
And how important it is to put yourself first throughout this whole process because, you know, you have to feed yourself literally, and you have to also feed the kids spiritually, and, you know, and all that. So what has that been like, learning to, as a people pleaser, as my girl, like, no.
We're like, we hear it.
You know, putting yourself first in that process. What's that been like for you?
It's been so tricky because I've never done that. Like, even in my family dynamic, I've always been like everyone's shoulder to lean on. Like, my role was always to be like keep the peace, and make sure everyone's happy and make sure everything's not, you know, crazy. So when I had my daughter and I had to like snap out of that, because for the first like 3 to 6 months, I just was thinking about like what everyone else wanted from me, what the other side of the family wanted, everything. And I was like doing it because that's second nature to me, like making sure everyone's happy, making sure everyone's peaceful and everyone's getting what they want. It comes so naturally to me because I've always done that my whole life. I'm not a confrontational person, or I wasn't a confrontational person. And the minute I realized that, like, in my most vulnerable times, these people were like still coming for me, I actually had to snap out of that. And it was through therapy that actually taught me that. She was like, you don't need to make sure, Aria, you don't need to make sure that, like, you know, everyone's getting what they want, because what do you want? Like,
exactly.
And I was here crumbling, pouring into everyone's glass, and I was empty. Like, it was impossible. So changing that mindset took a lot of therapy. It took a lot of self-reflection, and I think I'm very proud that now I can speak my mind a lot more because I'm advocating for someone that doesn't have her own voice yet. I mean, she's getting it, as you can hear. But I'm advocating for someone that doesn't have a voice, so I have to be that. I don't actually have another choice. Like, I have to make sure that she's getting what she needs, and her safety's first, and her happiness is first, and I will do anything to protect that, you know. So
for people who don't understand how to put themselves first, what are some of the things that you have to learn?
Take time, take space. I think as a mum you feel so much guilt that, like, you're not doing enough, even though you're doing everything. Aria, even though you're doing everything. Thank you. You feel like you're not doing enough, even though you're doing. We're back again. All over the place today. You feel like you're not doing enough, even though you're doing everything you can in your power. And I think just taking the time away from your kid just for a minute, even if it's like an hour, couple hours, like even a night. Like, sometimes you just need a night just to sleep and just wake up without like anything else. You know, that's gold to me at the moment. It's very rare. I've only had like 3 nights off, so you can imagine. You can imagine how crazy that is here.
Because I was gonna say, like, I can imagine too, like for me, right? I've always been a very independent person, right? So I can imagine going from like being this person where you have to worry about yourself and you have that so much time alone and so much time by yourself, to now you're obviously with her most of the time, all the time. So it's like you can almost forget what it's like to be you know, and it's like you're obviously now a mother, but it's also you're also you. So it's like getting that balance must be tough, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think that balance is almost near impossible because, at least for me in my case, I'm with her 24/7. There isn't a minute that we're not together, so it is very easy for me to get lost in motherhood and just go down that, like, stay in that, And it takes some time for, like, I have to reach out to, like, my sister, or my sister will be like, can I take her for the day? And that day alone gives me a moment to ever go to the gym, self-care, sleep, do something that you want to do, go for a walk, like, just take a minute to not be needed for a second. And I think that is so important. Like, I think if I had more of that in the first year, it wouldn't have felt so hard. Like, I think I would have eased into it a bit more, but it was just me from the jump, so I was like, let's go guys, put on my boots, let's go. Let's do it.
You mentioned I got it for you. Bye baby.
You didn't want to come up. What are you doing?
You've talked a bit about how important you think therapy is for mothers at the beginning. Talk to me about that too. What was it like for you? What were some of the I guess, like I said before, some of the steps that, some realizations that you had to make about yourself or the process that you think young mothers actually need, especially at that beginning stage,
Yeah.